Okay, day 95, DynCorp, Haiti, and me. So for those not familiar with the series, I started out with Braverman at the Clinton Foundation and kind of led me to this DynCorp, which is kind of a cutout for the CIA. And, you know, you looking back at Enron, with Pug Winokur doing the whole Enron, he was the chairman of finance for all of Enron and their whole financial pyramid that they built there. Frank Wiesner is a longtime CIA guy that was way back at Enron, and his father was involved in all the overthrows in Central America and in Iran. So the CIA thread through here is pretty strong. The other thing is I did the Jeff Rent show yesterday, and we talked a lot about organ harvesting, and I know that a lot of his viewers are going to want more proof of that, and I will provide that. And I provided it's really kind of the history of the CIA here with covert, overthrows with Osprey Global here, and then kind of the Mujahideen with stingers, going back to 1979, and then the poison gas going back to Halabja, and now still being used in Syria. So one of the other themes of this, series is that these same methodologies keep being used over and over. The disruption campaigns that Otpor runs, were the same in Libya as they were in Syria, et cetera. So, and anyway, I contemplated whether I should put a little heart here, that little heart carrier from Life Cradle down here as well, because it's going to turn out that organ harvesting is very much a part of this. You're going to see that in, you're going to see it in Kosovo, and you're going to see it in Africa, all over Africa, and then you're going to see it in Haiti, and you're going to also see it in the U.S. So here's our group. DynCorp, if you haven't been watching, does a whole bunch of different contractors. I think they're the 22nd largest contractor, above board contractor in the U.S., but I think they're below the hidden budget is much larger than that, and certainly the largest black budget contractor in the USA. They're running this Operation Underground, which is taking the kids from Haiti to Colombia, for instance. And then if they're caught, they say, oh, well, we were investigating it. So that's kind of the thing. But it's all about this asset forfeiture. And this really goes all the way back to the beginning days of the CIA, which the CIA is just constantly slowly drain your opponent, literally and figuratively, by asset forfeiture and just entrapments, an endless series of entrapments like McCabe does here at the FBI, and then an endless series of asset forfeitures until you have all the assets. It's kind of like Monopoly in a way, or worse, maybe, Risk or something. So Pug Winokur is at the center of all this. I've gone through hundreds of these contracts, and one of the ones I like the most, not really but is this backbone for the FBI, the backbone between all the field offices, the cable, the fiber cable, and the people who got that contract was DynCorp. So obviously that's how the FBI was compromised through the counterterrorism division here with McCabe. And just it's sad to see, because there's so many great people in the field offices that have been victimized. People don't know why. Oh, geez, all of a sudden there was a sex scandal and I lost my job. I had to retire. And then the McCabes of the world move up. You're going to see that over and over again in the FBI. So, in this organ harvesting, just a little CIA folklore for you, is that their enemy, when you're done with the enemy, harvesting everything you can out of the enemy, I mean the eyes for the eye bank and the brains for, MS research, and the heart and the liver and the kidneys and all that, the folklore is that's where all the dog food plants came from, when they ground up there. I know it's folklore, so I don't have proof of that. But what I do have proof for is a video here of the heart extraction and organ extraction here from DynCorp white helmets in Syria. I do have the evidence of 15,000 children. If you're doing this type of stuff and you go back to Kosovo, and the leader of Kosovo's very good friends with the Clinton Foundation, and there's a big long list of Kosovo stuff with organ harvesting, so you can check that out. So everyone wondered, well, how did you come up with this theory that they're dumping the bodies here, they're cutting the hearts out here on this mountaintop, and then they're dumping the bodies here in Haiti in this lake, and then going up to this hospital in Miravalais? And well, if you want to know what happens in Haiti, all you have to do is look at Rwanda. Rwanda and Congo and Sudan and Somalia, and here they are. There's all the bodies. And I think everybody might have remembered, I said lots of 20. There was 40 bodies found in this case, in this lake here, RWERU, and I'm not sure how you say that. But, you know, all the organs removed, and then the stone put in the bag, and then they threw the bodies in the river. This is kind of a fun river. This is the headwaters of the Nile. The Nile, a 4,000-mile-long river. It goes all the way down to the Congo and Rwanda in Africa. But the guy is Kagame. Kagame did this in Uganda. These kind of operations. He did them in Rwanda. He did them in Burundi. He did them in Congo. He did them in Sudan. And you're going to find him in Somalia. And I think you're going to find him in Chad, Niger, and Nigeria as well, as far as the same kind of commandos going in and doing these operations. Organ trafficking sounds better in French. Trafic d'organes humains, you know. So it sounds better. Okay, so I talked about Michael Rupert talking about CIA drug trafficking, and he was a CIA agent in Los Angeles, and he was the one who broke the story, and this was kind of what supported Gary Webb, the journalist, reporting the story. And I talked about how they kind of had this slow diminishment, this kind of diffuse and disrupt program. And I talked about how these organizations, these small religious organizations, small churches, what they do is they approach the pastor of these churches, and they convince these folks who are very righteously minded that these are bad guys. So he's a pedophile, he's a drug rapist, a date rapist, and so forth. And these folks really do believe that. And when they go in to try to get you fired from your job and drop a nasty rumor about, with your wife, about you playing around or whatever it is, that's why they believe that they're doing the right thing. This Christians in Action or Catholics in Action. There's about 2,000 of these. Dana Priest from the Washington Post did an expose called Top Secret America in 2010, and there was 2,000 of these. Now, this is what DynCorp is paying for on the in the black budget, all these contractors, and that's through the Promise software, and now going to be Palantir. And the reason I put Branch Davidians on here was this is what the Branch Davidians were. They had a strong man. They had like the Navy SEAL types that were kind of the enforcers, and then they had the moms, who I believe were sex slaves, and I do believe that a lot of those kids were adoptees. And they don't know that the kids are being abducted. They are raising them thinking, hey, this is good for our church. Now, Laura Silsby, I don't know. She might actually know. I don't know. But again, I break up the marriage first, then break up the job, then get you living in a trailer, then finally on the street, then you have a health issue, and then you're dead. So that's the slow kill program. Now I'm going to go to a fast kill. But first, let's talk a little bit about Jorge Puello. I don't believe he's Jewish, first of all, with a name like Puello. I think he's just wearing a yarmulke there for effect. But anyway, he was the quote-unquote lawyer for Laura Silsby when he was down there. He's currently wanted in El Salvador for child trafficking. And I asked the FBI, why don't we just send 200 agents and go get this guy? Interpol's got him out on a red watch and so forth. I can't believe we can't find Jorge Puello. Excuse me. So anyway, that's the update on this screen. The key is always going to be whatever you see in Haiti, you're going to see in Chicago soon after. So at some point you have to stop it. Going back to Kagame, they kept saying, when do we stop this guy? First did the 1994 genocide, then the first Congolese war, and it's not really a war, it's an invasion, and the second Congolese war, and he's still president, and he's got like 8-year terms. So at some point, if you don't stop it in Africa, then it comes to Haiti. If you don't stop it in Haiti, you're going to see it in Los Angeles and Chicago. So, and a lot of people think the Homan Square secret prison in Chicago is exactly that operation. So anyway, I always keep showing this because as a fundraiser for a Democratic Party, I don't know why you would have a painting like that in your office. That's my only point. And if you research the folks on this list from this email, I think you're going to find a lot of interesting connections to DynCorp as well. So, but I'll let the other folks do that. Now, here's where a journalist was killed, and I'm going to space it on his name right now, Casarola. But he was the guy who said, hey, the same thing that Catherine Austin Fitts said, this PROMIS software it's short for Prosecutor Management Information Systems. So what they did was they Bill Weld and others stole the software, and then they gave it to every prosecuting or Department of Justice all around the world. So let's say this is Saudi Arabia, and this is Canada, and this is whatever, all the countries around the world. And their Department of Justice investigators and their FBI in that country would go out and research all these cases. Well, what happened was they built a back door into all these in the PROMIS software. So they could go in and they could download and look at all the cases all around the world. So they didn't have to do any of the work. It's just kind of like that cowbird type strategy that the CIA constantly employs. Well, guess what? This is the PROMIS software. Palantir is going to be the same exact thing. Palantir is going to be used in local police departments, state police departments all around the world. Investigative units. So it's the same backdoor. I'm not going to talk too much about the red teams here, or I keep calling them red teams because they're Kissinger's red teams, but this is Team Rubicon. This whole thing is the David Petraeus show soldiers. And behind this is going to be where the real snipers are. I'm not saying they're not real snipers, but they've been selected because of their looks and so forth. And this is what snipers look like. And this is going to be the key to the death of Chris Kyle. I'm saying right now, right here, David Petraeus had people shot, and Chris Kyle didn't ask questions, and some of them are going to be talking about child trafficking, and some we're going to be talking about organ harvesting. So, again, the answer to all this is the 650,000 emails, at least published the metadata. And, Andrew needs to pen out a letter here saying, Judge Knapp, Napolitano, I did it. I did destroy the evidence. I did do the quid pro quos. I did take the bribe. And that unlocks pretty much the whole. If we don't do that, like I said before, Israel, China, and Russia has the emails. So, and I'm going to just finish on this one. Again, Robert Boyce is the hero here. The emails: child exploitation, sex crimes, perjury, obstruction of justice, money laundering, pay to play. And Parit Bahara of the Southern District of Everywhere is still looking at his picture in his office from Time Magazine. That's it for today.